Welcome to episode 48, and I am once again joined by Benny McDevitt. Benny, thanks very much for agreeing to come back onto the podcast.
Micky, thank you for having me. I'm keen to hear how everything's been going for you. Not long to go. I'm sure you're just sort of dying to get there now at the starting line.
I'm kind of a mixture of really, really looking forward to it and kind of half dreading it, as the realization it's beginning to get a bit too real, I think, at this point. But so far so good anyway.
Very good. How are you feeling about the whole thing? How's training gone? What's going good with you at the minute?
Everything's going pretty well, Benny. I've been quite consistent with the training. I did a wee update there on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, just a wee training update if anybody wants to get all the detail on it. But essentially, I was able to hit most of my big sessions, most of my key sessions. Training, generally speaking, between 5 and 6 days a week. Swim, bike, and run. Building the volume, building up on the bike. Going pretty well, and so far so good. Thankfully, I haven't had any injuries or anything like that. So, physically, everything's gone as good as it could. So far so good.
Good stuff. Hey, and I'm just dying to know, Micky, has any of the strategies or the mental skills we talked about the last day, has anything sort of stuck with you a wee bit more? You found more beneficial? Anything working for you?
Absolutely, Benny. The last time we spoke was, I think it was just before Christmas. And one of the things that I have been doing is that whenever I've been kind of feeling a wee bit nervous or a bit anxious or apprehensive, not even sure what the right word is, but whenever I've been having these sort of moments of doubt, I will go back over the evidence. You talked about reaffirming the things that you had done and looking at that as an evidence base to remind yourself that you've done that, and you hit those things. So I have been doing that. I've been kind of reviewing the training. It's quite cool on Strava. There's a wee training log, and you can just go in there and you can have a very, very quick gleek, as I like to say. You can have a quick gleek at how you've been getting on over the last month, the last week, or whatever. And really, over the last 5 months, I'm seeing a nice wee steady increase in the amount of hours that I've been putting in month by month by month. So it's all going up on a nice trajectory. So that's what it took most from the last time that we spoke, was that idea of that evidence bank. So thanks for that. It's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, I just to sort of back that up a bit, I think for endurance sports, where Ironman obviously falls under, I think having that evidence bank of your training, there's no denying it. As you said, it's Strava, it's on your phone, it's right in front of you. So that's great to hear when them sort of moments of doubt arrive, or as you were sort of saying, nerves, or maybe feeling a bit anxious. Revert to that evidence bank and look, I've done the work. Now it's time to race or to complete the Ironman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great to sort of hear that, Micky. And suppose, what is it, 3 weeks out now?
We're 3 weeks out. So coming into now, this will be the last kind of big week as such. I've done a big long run there, 2 hours 45 minutes. Wasn't really interested in pace or times or nothing, but it was just about the duration of 2 hours 45 on my feet. Big cycle. Another 10-mile run done there the other night. I'll probably do another 10, possibly another 13-mile run, maybe even slide it up maybe to 15 or 16 mile, maybe before next week. But I suppose I'm looking towards the weekend as being the last big weekend with a big bike of 100 mile cycle kind of penciled in. Again, no times in mind. That's just about getting the bum in the saddle for whatever length of time it takes, and building that mental kind of idea that it's going to be a long day, so I want to just get that kind of ticked off. Don't even necessarily feel that the 100 mile cycle is going to make or break the Ironman. Like, I could think I'm going to get round the course whether I do 100 mile or whether I don't, but I think just psychologically it's something that I'm kind of pushing myself towards. So if you can talk me out of a 100 mile cycle, I'll gladly accept.
If I end up talking you out of it, Micky, I'm in the wrong profession. Maybe reverse psychology, maybe, yeah. And I'll tell you something actually, Micky. The feedback from the last session I got was that the people sort of love that concept of old Micky and you telling them where to go, and using modern Micky as, no, this is you now. You're completing an Ironman. And again, just we were speaking beforehand. I'll just compliment you again. You look like an Ironman now. The training's obviously working for you, and you're ready to compete. And it's great to hear all the training's taking place. So just a lot of people came to me and said, no, we absolutely love to hear that, we didn't shy away from who you used to be, Micky, and if them sort of temptations ever arose, or if you weren't proud of certain moments, but that's shaped who you are today, and you got to use that as fuel to drive you on to make up who modern Micky is, and modern Micky's going to complete an Ironman in 3 weeks.
Absolutely, Benny. And thanks for that. It's cool to hear someone else saying that, because as much as I believe that and know that to be true, like, make no mistake about it. I'm going out there to complete the event. But the idea that the old version of me kind of got me through a few scrapes and pulled me through a few dodgy scenarios. I probably wouldn't change an awful lot about it, to be perfectly honest, because it was a wild old ride. But I really took something from that idea that you had suggested, that to take the power from the past and to use that to to inspire and to push myself forward. Like that internal voice, that kind of dialogue where you'll maybe feel that you're not good enough or that you lack strength or motivation. So I tell that guy to just hold on a minute, take a back seat. There's a new version of me. This modern Micky, as you coined, is now fully in charge. And I think I've been pretty good at, again, looking at the evidence base and embracing this new version of me, and reminding myself that I did that and I've done that and I've done this and I've done the other, and really beginning to believe and view myself in a very, very different way. And it's pretty cool. I have to say, it's pretty cool. So great tips, Benny. And they've been really, really useful for me. Absolutely. And I'm glad to hear that some of the other people that contacted you have taken something from it as well. So that's what we want to be doing.
Yeah, I suppose it's just important to realise that when we spoke last, Micky, we were maybe introducing mental skills and sports psychology, and that was strategies that were important to get you from where you were in December to where you are a few weeks out. Not to say that we park them completely now, but I suppose the basis of today is something that you can use in the lead up now to the Ironman, and then to help overcome any mental strategies you have when you're going through the event. So they're slightly different. We can still use them strategies, but it's about maybe fine tuning to what the day might actually look like like what it might look like for you. But we don't want to start practicing them on the day. We need to build up to them. Same way you've built up your training over the last 3, 4, 5 months. We need to build up these strategies, sort of be proactive in how we do that.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been doing is using the idea of the visualization. And the last time we spoke, we were able to talk about the power of visualization, even for doing something like a swim. The idea that you could swim in your head without even getting wet. You don't have to put the unsightly budgie smugglers on you at all. So you can kind of visualize a wave coming, how you would react to that. And I've already started to do that, because I've been researching the event. I've never done Lanzarote Ironman, obviously. So I have been kind of. I think it's because I'm so close to it. I'm really starting to get obsessed about it, and I'm reading up about it and been looking at the swim. The swim is 2 laps, but it's an Australian exit, so that means we'll come out of the water. We'll run around a cone on the beach and we'll run back into the water. So it's somewhat of an unorthodox swim in the sense that not all of the swims in the feckin' water. So, but even that, visualizing what that's going to look like coming into shallow beach, standing up, making my way up to the cone, moving around the cone, maybe adjusting the goggles, working on a strategy, even thinking about it for the steps that I'm taking. Am I going to keep that tempo that I would do with my arm stroke? Am I going to maintain the same breathing ratio to footstep as I would with the arm strokes? So I'm really, really thinking about that. Probably overthinking it, but I think because I'm thinking about it, I am a lot more at ease with it already. Do you know what I mean? Does that even make sense? But I feel that I know what to expect. I can see it happening. I can see me doing it, and I can see me getting on with it okay. And as such, I'm not worried about the swim.
Micky, you've ticked a lot of boxes there. Again, you've clearly done your research on it. The important thing about visualization is, yes, it's good, you can imagine it, but you need to go 2 ways about it. So we can picture the perfect transition in and out of the water, but also to, predict maybe a few challenges or what might not go according to plan. So not to kill your buzz or anything, I'm sure the swim will go well, whether you face a challenge or not. But it's important to maybe predict a few challenges, because if something does arrive, it's not a shock to the system. And then that's when worry triggers anxiety and you think it's all going to go to pot. So
Uh-huh.
it's important just to maybe add on a bit. Is there any challenges you could think of that might arrive?
Just the sheer volume of people that's going to be in the water. I'm used to swimming in the water with people, and I've done plenty of triathlon events, but this is going to be a bigger scale. There's going to be a bit of a current that needs to be taken care of as well. I'm not going to be able to actually experience that until maybe the day before Ironman, so I will be able to get into the sea and have a wee recce around that place. There's a guy who will take out groups, so there's going to be a good opportunity to get into the water and to experience that. So that will really help. Um, the sea's supposed to be quite sheltered, so I'm not anticipating any big swells or waves or anything. The breeze comes from the shore and sweeps out to sea, so it shouldn't produce any big rollers or surf. So other than just the volume of people um, in the water, I don't envisage it to be too much as long as I maintain my tempo and my plan, which is just to do my usual, which is like about 1 minute 50 per 100 yards, nice steady stroke. It doesn't really get much faster or slower than that. It's just like a turtle in the hair job. Um, and keep the heart rate down whenever I'm getting out of the water and back into the water. I suppose it's that wee bit. I'm hoping at some point over the next week um, to try and actually replicate that in the lock. So I'm going to do a couple of laps in the lock and then come up the slipway, run around the car park, and jump back into the lock deliberately to put my heart rate up, just to see how I would cope with an elevated heart rate and see how quickly I can get that under control back in the water. So that's kind of that's how I'm planning to visualize and to try to experience the potential for something to go wrong in that respect.
Yep, that's really, really powerful to hear. Your preparation is second to none, Micky. It's really encouraging to hear, the lengths that you're going to. Now, the sort of building what I'm saying again, I wasn't trying to kill your buzz or anything, but a thing I picked up, not to change sports here, but I'm sure we're all aware of Rory McIlroy's great success last week, and I don't know if you followed that he's got a sports psychologist now called Bob Rotella, so he's well renowned in the golf world. But one of the main strategies that he works with his golfers is that golf is not a perfect sport. No mistakes will arrive, and for anyone that watched the Masters, Rory McIlroy certainly did not have the perfect 4 days or the perfect start to the last round. So it was being able to acknowledge that sport is not perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. Ironman's not perfect. Swimming's not perfect. Running's not perfect. Cycling's not perfect. There's very few sports that are perfect without mistakes.
Aye.
Even gymnasts or high divers, they rarely get a perfect score. So it's important to take from that. I think in a way that mistakes might happen, may not be of your own accord, but for example, a stray foot in the swim might hit your goggles. Again, I've just plucked that. It could be something that happens. So again, you don't want to spend too much time thinking about this, but you maybe want to have a few things up your sleeve in your armory that could happen. So when it does happen, it's not a shock, because that's where the trouble psychologically comes whenever the unexpected arrives. But if you're prepared, then boom, we're in a good place to get on and go with it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does, Benny. Yeah, and you're quite right. It's not uncommon to get a bit of a clip, an arm or someone swimming over the back of you and just knocking you out a wee touch, or just unsettling you, or a splash from another swimmer hitting you while you're taking a breath. So all those wee things, yeah.
I'm sure you could
Um,
find a few people up around Loch McCrory to hit you a wee clip.
if I put an ad in the local shop, they'd be lining up to
You
hit
might
me a
you might
clip, I would imagine.
you might have to look too
But
you might have to look too far. So yeah, and I suppose
it's pretty cool the way that you've even opened up the idea that sport isn't perfect and there's no such thing as the perfect thing, because I think we all kind of want to do the perfect event, and we're kind of setting ourselves up to fail in that respect, really, aren't we? Because we have to acknowledge that shit happens, and even that kind of feels like it's taking a wee bit of the pressure off. So you got to just learn to duck and dive and roll with it, and see how you can overcome the things. You're going to get knockbacks, and it's about, I suppose, about getting back up, isn't it?
yeah, and it's probably impossible to predict any sort of unexpected outcome or challenge that arise, but I'm sure there's common ones, like for example getting a stray boot, as we discussed. But the really powerful and slash cool thing about visualization, Mickey, is that your body and brain can't distinguish, like your central nervous system can't distinguish between your physical movement and what you visualized in advance. So if you've already visualized these challenges beforehand, before Lanzarote, over the next few weeks, it's not a shock, and you can deal with it, and you can sort of snap straight back into to modern Mickey and carry on with your Ironman.
Yeah.
So
One
it's
one
really
of the
powerful.
strategies is kind of, a lot of people, and I've never done it, and actually now that you've said that, I'm going to. I've actually put a note down: extra goggles. And people will have a spare set of goggles around their neck, just lying here. Maybe tuck it in ever so slightly into the wetsuit. Um,
Better looking at them than
so I
for
mean,
them.
that's right. I could probably get through the swim without goggles, but at the same time, you better have you may as well have perfect eyesight if you've got nothing else. Do you know what I mean? So I just that extra wee safety nets and get out of jail cards. Um, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, so just to be aware of that, and just don't put that pressure on yourself that it has to be the perfect Ironman. You know.
Yeah,
So again, I'm sure you're going to do well, but challenges, mistakes will arrive, and whether it's through your own fault or another. So the more we're prepared for that, then the easier it is to navigate and move
yeah,
forward.
yeah,
So Mackie, I'm I've no doubt that you're well rehearsed in your visualization, but I'm just going to take you through now what I would do in a consultancy with visualization. and it's
Uh-huh.
maybe just something you can adapt. And it's important just to recognize again that when we're doing mental skills training, that it should be treated like your physical training. If you want to break it down into sets and reps and build it up in volume as you get closer to the event, it's an important take on it that you shouldn't do too much of it either, because you can burn out and sort of burden yourself. So visualization, I think, starting off with 5 minutes in an evening or whenever you get a time slot, is more than enough. And how do we get to an effective session of visualization? There's certain ways of getting to that, So the more familiar we can get your body, say, experiencing Lanzarote and maybe the challenges or the humidity or the people around you, it's not as much of a shock to the body, and then also you feel in more control of it whenever these moments arrive. So I'm going to get you to do a sort of applied task here, Micky. So again, this just isn't taken from myself. This is research of visualization, and so the more senses you can bring in, and including your environment, the more of your senses that you can sort of recruit and think about and adapt for your visualization, the more powerful the experience is, the more effective it is. So you've got like your touch and feeling, you're seeing, you're hearing, you're smelling, and you're tasting. Okay. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to set a timer on 30 seconds minimum, because you might have more than 30 seconds worth for some of these, but you might not have 30 seconds worth. So it's just going to stretch you. So we're going to go through each of them senses, and I want you to tell me everything. I want you to throw it out. Okay, don't worry about writing it down. We're going to go through each of them, say 30 seconds here each, and I want you to throw it. And I want you to close your eyes. So you're in Lanzarote. Are you happy enough to do this, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, um, Obviously, for a consultancy, everything would remain confidential, but obviously you're putting this out on the Spotify,
Oh,
Micky.
I
So yeah, you're okay with sharing this as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So Micky, what I want you to do is to close your eyes and take yourself to Lanzarote. Now choose an event for me. Is there one here maybe that you're feeling not as confident in?
I suppose the one that I'm worried about most will be the run, given that it follows what will be a very, very demanding bike. So combination of the heat and sore legs, tired legs, and a lot of
Okay.
calories expended.
Yeah. So the run. We're focusing on the run.
Yeah.
Right. Take me to a moment in the run. Is this the transition, or halfway through, or are we close to the wall? Just give me a time sort of timestamp on it there.
Say 2 hours in.
Okay, cool. Just so we know where we're at, and the listeners know where we're at here. Okay, so let's do this. So let's apply it and sort of give it a good sort of bit of attention here. Okay, so Micky, close your eyes. We're 2 hours
Yeah.
into the run. We're going to go 30 seconds here. I want you to tell me everything that you feel.
Tired, heart rate.
What's tired?
Tired is heavy legs. Um, I'm hot. The heat. I am probably sweating. Feel sick with a lack of. I feel energy depletion.
What's the surface you're
Work.
running on?
The surface is fine. The surface is nice and smooth. It's tar. I'm running along the coast, so I'll be able to smell the beach,
How does the
the
air
wave.
feel?
The air feels thick. It's warm. It's humid. There are people singing and dancing. There's people eating and drinking. There's the smell of food and
Okay, yeah,
fun
no,
in the
sorry, yeah.
background.
So we'll call that. We're just focusing on how it feels there at the minute, Micky. Okay, so yeah, we'll pause that. Come back to me at the minute.
Okay.
So we went over the 30 seconds. So that's what I was sort of saying. You needed more than the 30 seconds for some of these. But do you even see how powerful that was? Did you take yourself to Lanzarote?
I did. I did. Yeah.
So I didn't want to probe, but you said tired, for example. I was like, what's
Yeah.
tired?
Yeah.
So when we're doing this and when we're moving forward, Try and experience the tired legs. What is the surface like that your feet are touching? How does the air feel against my body when I'm moving through it?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Is the wind working with me? There mightn't be a breeze. Is there like a thickness in the air? You know, the more of these senses we can recruit, the more powerful your visualization is going to be. You know,
Uh-huh.
you've been in Lanzarote,
Yeah, I've been out there
so
multiple times.
you have a real advantage on how it feels. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so let's work through these now, Mickey. Again, not to rush it, but so that was feel. Okay, let's
Uh-huh.
move on to what we see. So close your eyes for me and tell me everything you
Okay.
see along this run along the coast.
So if I'm running out from the transition area, I've got the sea on my right hand side. Um, Normally a black lava stone wall separating the promenade from the beach. The beach is dark sand, crystal clear waters, sunlight dancing off the sea, um, palm trees to the left, black
Any
landscape.
runners?
There's runners coming to me. Yep, coming towards me. They've completed. They're out and back. They're on their way back in. There's runners ahead of me. There's runners behind me, and there's people cheering on, watching, taking photos, things like that as you move up through the different parts.
Okay, well just keep going. Keep the eyes closed. So what do you hear? What does it sound like?
I'll hear the sea. I'll hear the sound of my own feet. I do focus on the sound of my feet, and I count to four in my head when I'm running. So I will be very conscious of that. I'll be distracted from that by other sounds like people cheering on for other people, or music at some of the wee towns, villages. If there's bars, people chatting, people roaring and shouting, all that sort of stuff. Clubmates encouraging me. Hopefully, my wife and kids roaring, "Go on, daddy!" all that sort of stuff. I'm really really hoping and looking forward to that. Probably more than anything, that's the one sound that I'm really really hoping for.
Good.
Above everything else, there'll be airplanes coming in low overhead as we head towards the airport, and just the sound of people and kids playing on the beaches.
Can you smell anything?
Smell the sea, smell the salt. It's not the same sort of a smell. Like it's not it's not Bundoran. You know, they don't have that rank smell of rotten kelp and buckfast that Bundoran oozes. But there'll be smells absolutely. It'll be the smell of. I took a sniff there. There's psychology in action. There'll be the smell of sun cream. There'll be the smell of sweat. There'll be the smell of food and drink. There'll be probably the occasional smell of cigarette smoke. There's the smell of the air smells in Lanzarote. It's a different air than it is over here. There's a thickness to it, so there's a smell in the air, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Smell is closely linked to taste. Can you taste anything? You're 2 hours into your run.
Probably taste my own mouth. Just a thickness in your mouth where you just want water. You need water. A dryness. Um, Probably not really any other taste sensation other than that. If maybe I have a gel, I'll taste that. It'll be a sugary liquid taste. I'll be looking to taste water and perhaps some of the drinks that are going to be on offer at the aid station. I have a kind of plan about what I'm going to take at what point in the run. So I'll taste Coca Cola, for example, in the last sort of 10K. Don't want to sicken myself before that, so I'll taste the sugar from that. I don't know. I think that's it for
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, you can open your eyes and come back to us there now. So again, I'll probably try to get the balance right there between doing that effectively and sort of making it appealing to the listeners as well, Micky. So when we're doing that, we'll probably take a wee bit more time on that. But that there is a really sort of structured and powerful way of taking you to the Lanzarote. Like all I was doing listening to you there, but I'm there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think whenever people do visualization, they do think about the event, but they don't recruit all the senses. You know,
Yes.
no, there's people there that I've went through this for, and you're pretty a good responder to this, and you're up for anything. But you go through the smell and the taste, and people nearly laughing and dismissing at you, and you know that's the ones I was on about. Maybe they're a bit of a shorter one, maybe allow 30 seconds for, whereas the touch and feel and see, you might take a bit more time. But when we're entering our visualization training, or whenever you're setting aside time for it, check through those five senses. You were kind of doing it naturally at the start. I know you kind of went through, a few of them. You were telling me what you would see and feel and so on. So if there's anyone listening, just, give yourself maybe a minute. And even if you were doing this yourself, you can make a list of things, The more you do it, the quicker you get the Lanzarote or the event that you're working towards,
Uh-huh.
So what we would tend to do then, Micky, is we'll take the let's work off the heavy leg feeling here.
Yes.
Okay. So close your eyes.
Yep.
We're 2 hours in. Legs are feeling heavy. What are we going to do? What's our options here, Micky?
Well, our options are stop or try and continue or reduce the impact or the cadence or to take a time out.
Okay. Yeah. No, we're just looking for a few things here. I love the way you shifted to that to, well, stopping's not an option. Okay. But you shifted to a few things that were in your control.
Yeah.
For example, the cadence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying you can't stop, by the way, if you need to stop and refuel or tie a lace or, but, I mean, opting out, ideally, that's not what we want from this. But I love the way you shifted that to something you were in control of. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, when we're going through the run, okay, and I'm in this now too. I'm doing the run with you from my sofa, but, you need to go back to that evidence bank, and you need to go to a pace that or cadence that you are happy with, that's going to get you through the next mile or the next 10K. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you're not always going to have positive thoughts, but you need to have something with direction on it. What can get you to the next sort of milestone? And you mentioned your family there. There was just a shift, a nice wee shift in tone, and even just looking at you there, it was nice. Your family and they were going to be cheering you and so on. So where did you picture your family seeing you on the run? Was it the finish line or halfway through or?
The finish line is both the start and the finish line.
Okay.
It's where we'll come in from. We'll start the swim and come in from the swim. We'll get on the bikes and get off the bikes, and it'll be this the place where we start the run. It'll be where we go back to 3 times from our out and back, and it'll also be the place that we finish. So it'll be somewhere near the epicenter of the entire event. So it'll be in Puerto del Carmen. So that's where they'll be. Yeah.
So, Micky, we've got brilliant ammunition here. They're milestones. Seeing the family,
Uh-huh.
they're milestones. Now you probably need sort of many landmarks to reach. Whether it's every mile, or I don't know if you monitor your pace per mile. Would you, or would you? How would you?
My loose strategy is going to be one that a lot of people adopt for the marathon aspect in Ironman, and that is just to get from one aid station to the next. So the aid stations are roughly paced or spaced out rather around 3 to 4 kilometers apart, and they're going to be fixed points, and they're not going to shift at all. So out and back once and then out and back twice, going past the same aid stations. So I'm looking to hopefully maintain a nice slow run pace that I can manage, and then through each aid station walk whilst taking on a bit of liquid, throwing a bit of liquid down the front of my tri-suit, trying to keep myself cool, pick it up again to go to the next. So that's kind of the strategy.
Yeah, Mickey, you're able to really vividly explain what you've done a lot of this. I can tell, so that's great. Fair play to you. And obviously, anything I've mentioned today is just to maybe fine tune, and sort of bring that wee bit more out of you. So whenever the moments of doubt arrive, you said it yourself. The first option is quitting, which isn't going to happen because I want you to see your family. Your family want to see you, and that's the opportunity to show them that all this training you've done, has been worth it.
Uh-huh.
Regardless of time, regardless of finishing position, that's your opportunity to showcase. Look what I've done. This has been worth it.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's not to put any added pressure on you. So it's a chance to showcase that you're training. Look what I've been able to do, and thank you for your support. Because I'm sure there's been fantastic support from your family. I'm sure it's not been easy to put in the time because you can't do it Ironman without putting in the time of training. There's just no way around that. So, just to lift yourself and feel positive about it, that every time you see them, it's just a wee thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to use that as fuel to go to the next time you see them. But then obviously the aid stations they're going to have their own benefits as well as the family, So, if you were to break it down and the certain sort of stages of the run. And there's a nice wee one I'd like to go on to here now, Mickey. I think I might have mentioned this briefly on the first one, but um, it's one of the first bits of sports psychology that was recognised from the Tour de France. It was a cyclist called Jens Voigt. Hopefully, I've said that right. But he was a cyclist, and they asked him about, how was he able to sustain such a strong pace and so on. He just told his legs to shut up.
Right.
He shut up legs, you know. So
Uh-huh.
there's a very simple, effective option of tell your legs when they're feeling heavy, shut up, shut up legs. I'm not.
Uh-huh.
You can build on that then, and you can go with like maybe a positive. Like so, if you tell your legs to shut up, it's like sending away the message of heavy legs. Or you could try and use a positive. It's like, no, I'm strong. My legs are strong. But it's just always something stuck for me when I first sort of. I wasn't even looking into psychology or had an interest in sports psychology. But yeah, Jens Voigt, so yeah, told his legs to shut up, and he was able to complete or participate well in the Tour de France. And these strategies, some I would say to a lot of the athletes I work with, they sound daft and silly until they don't work. So I actually
Okay.
had
Yeah.
a youth swimmer working with them recently. Again, no confidentiality and all that, but they struggled on the blocks, sick with nerves, and we came up with a strategy. Obviously, got towards it. Told told their stomach to shut up. Told their stomach to shut up. And I met up with them a few weeks ago, and they told their stomach to shut up. They got rid of the feeling, and they had a PB. Ahead of they've got regional championships coming up now.
Brilliant.
So it's sometimes it's the more simple things that can stick with you are more effective because you could have all these great psychological mental skills, but if you can't apply them and if they're not effective and if you don't believe in them, then then they're irrelevant. So
Uh-huh.
there's maybe one you could just shut up legs, and whether you say it
I,
out loud or you say it into yourself, that's maybe one to practice, and that obviously works on the cycle and the swim as well.
no, that's brilliant. I think I'll be telling my legs to shut up maybe more than once.
Hey,
Quite possibly.
as long as you're not telling me to shut up, we're doing well.
No, I'll be no danger.
And I suppose, Maggie, just now when we're playing that, I just want to reiterate that your mental skills you can think of as sets and reps. Okay, whether you set aside time in your diary and your calendar and your phone, or you could do it when you're stuck in traffic in the car or wherever it might be, or if you're at work trying to kill a bit of time. But again, you want no distractions, and you want to emerge in that environment as best you can. So don't overburden yourself, don't overthink it, but take yourself to Lanzarote, which you've been there from talking to you, really vivid. I've never been to Lanzarote, but I'm there with you. It's fantastic to hear that you've done a lot of preparation, and you just need to have trust in that now, whenever it comes. And I suppose um, it's just time to race nearly as well. So you get the training done, you're nearly there. It's just no. Sometimes the preparation's done and just get out and race.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Any thoughts yourself there? I suppose we're moving maybe towards the end now, or
No, that's brilliant. I love the simplicity of tell your legs to shut up. Where you're just point blank, just saying, I'm not going to be listening to that. I'm just going to cut that out, even before it becomes like an internal narrative that gathers any speed or gusto. Just no, just shut up.
yeah.
So I think I'll definitely use that one.
Yeah. So,
Um,
sorry, just to maybe close off that point. But if you remember, just I was saying that there's no point in trying to convince yourself now that your legs aren't going to feel heavy.
aye,
That's avoiding what's going to happen. But we know it's going to happen.
yeah,
An Ironman's not easy, but we have a strategy in place there now, and it's important maybe
yeah.
to try that. So just again, for we're trying to get something to maybe benefit the listeners here too. Um,
I suppose the other thing as well is just whenever you're saying that, just to bounce off that and to expand on it a wee bit. I'll not be the only person with heavy legs. Everybody's legs are going to feel heavy getting off the bike in an Ironman, and right from the pros right down to the first timers. There's nobody that's going to be fresh as a daisy when they're on that run or when they're 2 hours deep in that run. I mean, that's when they're going to have to dig deep. So it's just about understanding that it isn't just me that this is, but it is more important about how I handle me, with an understanding that that's everybody's going through this.
Mickey, and no, perfectly leads on to this point is that you can take confidence that you're maybe the only person there telling their legs to shut up because nobody else around you knows that. You know,
Yeah,
it's so simple that people may not think about it, and you can take confidence. It's not always the strategy that you're doing; it's the fact you're doing something, and you can take confidence in that. I've got an edge here, or again, I know we're not really going with the mindset that we're competing against others, but somewhere deep down in there, we are. But you can take confidence that I've got a wee bit of armory up here that you don't know about. My legs are being told to shut up, whereas you're over there struggling on, mate. So I can take a wee bit of confidence that I'm doing something that maybe others aren't.
yeah. No, that's cool. Now that's brilliant. Good
So
stuff.
yeah, yeah. So look, hey, great chatting to you, Mickey. I'm dying just to see you go out there now. If I could get a bit of time away from the kids and family, maybe I could tell them I'm going on a work related trip and I have to go. Mickey needs me, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
a field study, observational study in the field. That's what you could put it down to. But you do well. You do well to pitch that with the missus and
uh, I do
a
well,
new
but
baby in the house. So
yeah, but I'm generally dying to hear, like any of my athletes, I'm always keen to sort of hear how you do, you know. But yeah, if there's any sort of final questions you have, or any sort of more areas you want to dive into.
no, Benny, I'm chuffed with the information that you give me initially back in December, and then just those wee helpful pointers again. And I felt really really empowered doing that visualization and breathing in and feeling and thinking about all the senses to it. It really kind of transported me to Lanzarote. So that was very powerful, and I would encourage anybody to try that. Absolutely. And I suppose I would encourage anybody that's interested in bringing their sport, whatever that sport may be, to the next level, for them to reach out and to get in touch with you, Benny. And like I did the last time, I'll put all your contact details um, in the description tag. And with a bit of luck, the next time I'm chatting to you, I'll have another Ironman medal.
Perfect, Mickey. Yeah, thank you, hey, for having me on again. And as if anyone's interested in sort of taking their sport or participation in even exercise or physical activity to the next level, then definitely give me a shout. I'm more than happy to have a chat. There's the option there, and I suppose it's just becoming more prevalent now. Again, not the go on about Rory McIlroy again, but he's a great example. Of the journey he's been on, and I think even him talking about the benefits of sports psychology is making people aware of it. But one of the things I mentioned on our first episode, Mickey, was that I'm trying to bring sports psychology to the everyday athlete, and not to sort of knock you off your pedestal, but you're probably in that category yourself, and like I was
Yeah.
myself, But there's more everyday athletes than there are elite, not
Yeah.
that dismissing what you're doing, it's an incredible achievement, So yeah, it's just bringing sports psychology in that age, to what people are trying to do, because people at all levels, local. If you look at the local rugby, GA, soccer players, the guys are doing their strength and conditioning, their nutrition, they're doing everything else. Why not look after the mental side of it as well? So
Absolutely. And you know what? If it's good enough for Rory McIlroy, it's good enough for the rest of us.
that could be my slogan. Yeah.
That's your new social media
Yeah,
slogan.
yeah. I tell you what, hey, we always, whenever we were at uni, we always joke about bumping in the Roy McIlroy, but we were in a queue for a nightclub, and he was only coming on the scene, and let's say it was just we're putting him under a bit of pressure, So the joke always goes around that when the Masters come around, that's the most pressure he's felt since that queue for that nightclub in Belfast. So but we're saying that it's all been building towards it. So in an inadvertently way, we've helped him build up that resilience to deal with that final putt. So.
I wonder did he leave the nightclub with a birdie? Boom boom.
He left that queue in a hurry. Yeah.
Benny, listen, thanks very much again for all your professionalism and your insight and top tips. Thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you, and thanks again for all your help and support. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey.